Hello students, welcome to Well Explained. Today I am here with Chapter 1 Nutrition in Plants of Class 7 Science. In this chapter we are going to study about autotrophs and heterotrophs, photosynthesis, parasites and saprophytes, insectivorous plants, symbiosis. Now students, what are the learning objectives? First of all, what are life processes? What is nutrition? Types of nutrition, plant nutrition, why is photosynthesis important, photosynthesis, steps of photosynthesis, what are the conditions necessary for photosynthesis, how do carbon dioxide and water enters the plants, what is the fate work of guard cells, and what are the other needs of plants. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss on these 11 topics. Now, what are life processes? Life processes are the processes which are vital for the survival of living organisms. Survival means ज़िंदा रहने के लिए. There are certain processes which are going inside our body also. Without those, we are not able to survive. उनके बगैर हम जिंदा नहीं रह सकते हैं. For example, digestion, nutrition, respiration, circulation, excretion, etc. Now coming to nutrition, as our chapter is nutrition in plants, so first of all we should know the meaning of the word nutrition. The process by which an organism takes food and utilizes it is called nutrition. Utilizes means for the proper functioning, growth, repair of its body. Now, what is the need of nutrition? We know organisms need energy to perform various activities. The activities which we perform externally, and there are certain activities which are going inside our body also. So for performance of these activities, we need energy. From where do we get this energy? From the food, and food contains nutrients. So the energy is supplied by the nutrients, and organisms need various raw materials for growth and repair. So these raw materials are provided by the nutrients. Now the types of nutrition. There are two types of nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. It is the mode of nutrition in which an organism prepares its own food. That is, it consists of all the green plants as they prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Autotrophic is made up of two words, auto and trophism. Trophic. Auto means self and trophic means nutrition. Trophic levels are there. So autotrophic means self-nutrition. The next type of nutrition is heterotrophic nutrition. In this, the organism takes food from another organism. This organism may be animal or plants also, because we know all the plants don't do this autotrophic nutrition. Only the green plants, सिर्फ ग्रीन प्लांट्स ही फोटोसिंथेसिस करके ऑटोट्रॉफिक न्यूट्रिशन करते हैं. Otherwise, those plants in which green color is not there, that is chlorophyll is absent, so they depend on the other plants or animals, means insects, for their nutrition. So the mode of nutrition in which an organism takes food from another organism is called as heterotrophic nutrition. Now coming to the topic of the chapter, that is nutrition in plant. Nutrition in plants is also of two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic. The autotrophic means green plants prepare their own food. They make food in the presence of sunlight. Sunlight provides energy. Carbon dioxide and water are the raw materials, and chloroplast is the site where food is made. That means green plants make their own food with the help of carbon dioxide and water. The reaction takes place between carbon dioxide and water, but this reaction takes place in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. And each of these, that sunlight and chlorophyll, have a proper role to play in the process of photosynthesis. Now, why is photosynthesis important? Photosynthesis is the main way through which the solar energy is made available for different living beings. Green plants are the main producers of food in the ecosystem, and all other organisms that directly or indirectly depend on green plants for food. The process of photosynthesis also helps in maintaining the balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the air. So first of all, first point, photosynthesis is the main way through which the solar energy is made available, because all the food chains, they start with a producer. Producer means those who make their own food, and we know they make their food with the help of the process of photosynthesis, and in this the sunlight is made available for different living beings. Means in the presence of sunlight, the carbon dioxide and water react to form food in the form of glucose by the green plants, and this takes place in the organelles which are known as chloroplast, and this chloroplast constitutes, it contains chlorophyll, which traps this solar energy and made available for the process of photosynthesis. Now, this process of photosynthesis, it also maintains the balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the air. How? We know for the process of photosynthesis what is required? Carbon dioxide. The plant takes in the carbon dioxide. The reaction takes place, this carbon dioxide reacts with water, and what is produced? Oxygen, which is given out in the air. So there is a balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the air. What is photosynthesis? As you can see, photosynthesis is the process by which light energy absorbed by the chlorophyll is transformed into chemical energy used to make carbohydrates from water and carbon dioxide. Oxygen is released during this process. Now, what are the conditions necessary for photosynthesis? As I've already told you, the four things, main things are sunlight, presence of sunlight, chlorophyll, that is the green pigment which is present in the green plants, carbon dioxide and water, they are the raw materials, and a suitable temperature is also necessary. The sunlight, chlorophyll and carbon dioxide are essential for photosynthesis. Other conditions needed are a suitable temperature and water. Now, how do carbon dioxide and water enters the plants? We know carbon dioxide is a gas which is present in the atmosphere. This carbon dioxide it gets into the plant through the structures known as tiny openings known as stomata, which are present in the leaves, and water enters through the roots. The root absorbs water and minerals. From the roots, this water is transported to each and every cell of the plant. From stomata, carbon dioxide enters and it reaches to each and every cell of the plant. And in the cell, there are chloroplasts which have chlorophyll which traps the sunlight, and inside the cell, this reaction takes place, and what is formed? Food is prepared by the plants. This food is prepared in the form of a sugar known as glucose. You can see the reaction. It is written 6CO2 plus 12H2O means carbon dioxide and water in the presence of light and chlorophyll forms glucose plus oxygen plus water. So this is the reaction for photosynthesis. Now what is the fate work of guard cells? Plants breathe and sweat through their stomata, which are regulated by guard cells. Guard cells have a very important job because by opening and closing stomata, they facilitate the gas exchange for photosynthesis and help minimize water loss. You can see in this figure, this is the figure of the diagram of a stoma. You can see the guard cells, these are bean shaped, and in the center is stoma or the stomatal pore, and it is surrounded by the epidermal cell. So when the guard cells they get sufficient water, they swell and bulges out, and the stomatal pore opens, and the carbon dioxide gas is taken in, and oxygen at the same time is given out. You can see this diagram. Now, what are the steps of photosynthesis? Till now we have learned the raw materials for the photosynthesis and the conditions which are essential for photosynthesis. Now, what are the steps of photosynthesis? First of all, the sunlight activates chlorophyll, which leads to the splitting of water molecule. When water molecule splits, water means H2O, it splits, it forms hydrogen and oxygen, and the hydrogen released by the splitting of water molecule is utilized for the reduction of carbon dioxide to produce carbohydrates. Here this carbohydrate is glucose. Oxygen is the byproduct of photosynthesis, and this is given out. Carbohydrate is subsequently converted into starch. This glucose, which is formed in the plant, it is utilized by the plant for its functioning, and the extra glucose is converted into starch and it is stored in the leaves and other storage parts. The splitting of water molecules is part of the light reaction, whereas other steps are the part of the dark reaction during photosynthesis. This light reaction and dark reaction you are going to study in detail in your class 10th. This chapter is very important from the point of view of class 10th because in class 10th also life processes you are going to study in detail. Now, the food that is prepared, as we have studied, the food that is prepared, it is stored in the leaves or other storage parts in the form of starch. So, how can we test that whether starch is produced or whether photosynthesis has taken place or not? So, there are few activities from which we are going to prove that the essential conditions they are very much required for photosynthesis. That means presence of carbon dioxide, presence of light, presence of chlorophyll. All these are essential for the process of photosynthesis. But first of all, we are going to study how to test a leaf for the presence of starch. What are the requirements? We'll take two plants. Potted plants means the plants in a pot, beaker or glass jar, a saucepan on the stove or a Bunsen burner. We need ethyl alcohol and iodine solution, tweezers. Now what is the procedure? First of all, place one of the plants in a dark room for 24 hours. Place the other one on a sunny window sill. Means एक जो आपने टू पॉटेड प्लांट्स लिए हैं उनमें से एक को आपको रखना है डार्क रूम में और एक को रखना है आपको विंडो सिल जहां पर धूप आ रही हो. डार्क भी क्यों रखना है? So that whatever food that is stored in the plant's body, it gets consumed. Now you have to wait for 24 hours. Now fill the beaker or jar with ethyl alcohol, and what you have to do is place the beaker or jar in a saucepan full of water. You don't have to put that beaker full of ethyl alcohol directly on the flame. Why? Because this ethyl alcohol is highly inflammable. बहुत जल्दी आग पकड़ लेता है. अगर आप डायरेक्टली बीकर को बर्नर पर या स्टोव पर रख देंगे तो वो आग पकड़ लेगा. Okay. So first of all, what you have to do? You have to put this jar with ethyl alcohol in a saucepan which is full of water, and this is known as a water bath. Now heat the pan until the ethyl alcohol begin to boil. पैन को कब तक गर्म करना है? जब तक इथाइल अल्कोहल उबलने ना लगे, बॉईल ना करने लगे. Now what you have to do? Remove from the heat. You have to dip each of the leaves in the hot water for 60 seconds using tweezer. Tweezer is like a chimney. Okay. Now drop the leaves in the beaker or jar of ethyl alcohol for 2 minutes or until they turn almost white. So first of all, you will put the leaves in hot water. Then after taking out from the hot water, you have to put it into the jar of ethyl alcohol. क्यों हमने ethyl alcohol में रखा है? We know leaves are green in color. So when we'll put the leaves in ethyl alcohol, they will turn white. That means all the chlorophyll from the leaves will come out. After that, take them out from the ethyl alcohol when they turn white, wash in water and set them each in a shallow dish. You can keep it on a tray, white tray or china dish or a shallow dish. Now what you have to do with the help of dropper, you have to cover the leaves with some iodine solution and you have to wait and watch. Wait for some time and watch what happens. Now what will be your observations? That the hot water kills the leaf and the alcohol breaks down the chlorophyll, taking the green color out of the leaf. When you put iodine on the leaves, one of them will turn blue-black and the other will be a reddish-brown. Now iodine is an indicator. If you put iodine on starch, it will turn blue-black. So iodine is an indicator that turns blue-black in the presence of starch. And the leaf that was in the light turns blue-black. That means photosynthesis took place in that leaf which was in light, which demonstrate that the leaf has been performing photosynthesis and producing starch. Now coming to the second activity, to demonstrate that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. So what are the things required? A potted plant with variegated leaves. Variegated leaves means there are leaves which are having green color as well as other colors also, like croton or money plant. Variegated leaves are partly green and partly white. You have to take rice paper, pencil, white paper sheet, beaker, test tube, ethyl alcohol, potassium iodide solution and water bath. Now what is the procedure or method? Keep the potted plant with variegated leaves in dark for 3 days so that the leaf become free from starch. After 3 days, take that leaf, plant out and place it in bright sunlight for about 6 hours. अब जब आपने उसको अंधेरे कमरे में रखा तो what will happen? All the starch which was stored in the plant, it will be used up. वो सब use हो जाएगा और उसके जब आप उसको bright sunlight में रखेंगे 6 hours के लिए तो what will happen? Due to the presence of sunlight, carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere, photosynthesis will take place. Now after 6 hours, you just pluck a leaf of the potted plant kept in bright sunlight. What you have to do is, you have to trace the outline of leaves and its variegated parts on the tracing paper. The variegated leaves show pale yellow spots in green leaves. These areas indicate the absence of chlorophyll. So where there is green color, that means chlorophyll is present. But where there are pale yellow spots, that means chlorophyll is absent. Then after that, you have to test it for starch as you have done in the first activity. That means first dip the leaf in boiling water for a few minutes, then in alcohol. Now dip the leaf in boiled water to make the leaf soft. Take out the leaf, wash it in water and stain with iodine solution. Observe the change in color. What will happen? The areas which were green, they will turn blue-black, whereas the areas which were pale yellow will remain as such, showing that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Now the next activity is to prove the necessity of carbon dioxide in photosynthesis. What are the materials required? A potted plant, conical flask material are almost same for all the activities. Split cork, stand, water, potassium hydroxide and materials for the test of starch. What is the procedure? In this, what you have to do, you have to put a part of the leaf of a de-starched plant. De-starched plant means the plant which is kept in the dark for 2 to 3 days. Now, a part of that leaf you have to put into a conical flask containing potassium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide solution absorbs the carbon dioxide gas from the air present in the glass bottle. Now leave the plant in sunlight. After few hours, we have to perform a starch test as we have done in the activity 1. You will observe that the leaf exposed to the atmosphere were bluish black, whereas leaf which was exposed to KOH does not change to blue-black color. That shows that starch is present in the green part of the leaf, and presence of starch proves that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis as it traps sunlight. Now the next is to show experimentally that light is necessary for photosynthesis. Material required are same. Procedure is you have to select a healthy potted plant. You have to de-starch it by keeping it in darkness for at least 48 hours. After 48 hours, using clips or sellotape, cover a part of the leaf of the plant from both upper and lower side as shown in this figure. You can see that upper and lower portion is covered with a black paper. Now you have to keep it in sunlight for 3 to 4 hours. Plug the leaf, remove the black paper strips and test it for starch. When you will test it for starch, so the area which was covered with black paper, it will be like that only, and where the area which was exposed to sunlight, you will see that it will turn blue black, which shows that light is necessary for photosynthesis. Now what are the other needs of the plant? Other materials are also required by the plants like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium, and these all are taken up from the soil. Nitrogen is an essential element used in the synthesis of proteins and other compounds and is taken up in the form of nitrates and nitrites. That's all for this lecture. Stay tuned for the second part, that is heterotrophic nutrition in plants, in my second lecture of chapter 1, nutrition in plants. Till then, goodbye, all the best.